first star flickered in the vast expanse of nothingness, there was only God. Eternal. All-powerful. And then, he spoke. Let there be light. In an instant, darkness shattered. Light exploded across the void, stretching into the heavens. The first star flickered in the vast expanse of nothingness, there was only God. Eternal. All-powerful. And then, he spoke. Let there be light. In an first star flickered in the vast expanse of nothingness, there was only God. Eternal. All-powerful. And then, he spoke. Let there be light. In an instant, darkness shattered. Light exploded across the void, stretching into the heavens, illuminating what had never been seen. The earth took form, wild, untamed. Oceans surged, mountains rose, valleys dipped into the depths. The sky was painted in hues of endless blue, and beneath it, life began to stir. With a word, the waters teemed with creatures, mighty leviathans, darting fish, and the whisper of wings as birds filled the sky. The land erupted with life, beasts that roamed the forests, creatures that thundered across the plains, and the gentle rustling of leaves as the wind danced through the trees. Every living thing in perfect harmony, crafted by his hands. And then, he formed them. The crown of his creation. From the dust of the earth, God shaped a man. But this was no mere creature. This was different. With his own breath, he filled the lifeless form, and the man awoke, eyes blinking in the brilliance of a perfect world. He was not just alive, he bore the very image of God. But he was incomplete. God, in his infinite love, caused the man to sleep, and from his side, he crafted a companion. A woman. Beautiful. Strong. The perfect counterpart. And when the man saw her, joy filled his soul. They were one. Made for each other. Made for God. They walked with him in the cool of the day, in a paradise beyond imagination. No pain. No fear. No death. Only life as it was meant to be. But in the shadows, something lurked. Watching. Waiting. The serpent, cunning and cruel, slithered close. It spoke with a voice like silk, its words dripping with deception. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree? The woman hesitated. The fruit before her was beautiful, glistening in the golden light. You will not die, the serpent purred. No, you will become like God. A single moment, a single choice. She reached out. Fingers brushed the fruit. A heartbeat passed, and then she took it. Bit into it. The taste was sweet, intoxicating. She turned to the man beside her. Without a word, he took it. Ate. And everything changed. Their eyes opened, but instead of enlightenment, they felt it, shame. A cold, creeping awareness of their nakedness. They scrambled for cover, desperate to hide. But they could not hide from him. A sound. Footsteps. The voice of their creator. Adam, where are you? Fear. A foreign, terrible feeling gripped them. They had never feared him before. We were naked, so we hid. His voice was heavy, full of sorrow. Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat from the tree I commanded you not to eat from? The man pointed to the woman. She gave it to me. The woman looked down. The serpent deceived me. Silence. The weight of their choice pressing upon them. And then, judgment. The serpent, cursed to crawl, to eat dust, to one day be crushed by the offspring of the woman. The woman, pain in childbirth, longing in her heart. The man, sweat and toil, the ground resisting him, life turning to struggle. And then, the worst of all. Separation. Banished from Eden, from the presence of their creator. An angel stood at the entrance, a flaming sword guarding the way back. But even in judgment, there was a promise. A whisper of hope. One would come. One who would undo the curse, who would crush the serpent's head, who would restore what had been lost. And so, the world waited. For redemption. The world was filled with nations, kingdoms rising and falling, people scattered across the earth. But God looked upon one man. A man named Abram, and he called him. Leave your country, your people, your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you, and through you, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. A promise. A covenant. Abram was 75 years old. No children. No heirs. But he believed. And so, he went. Leaving behind everything, he traveled to the land of Canaan, a foreign land filled with powerful kings and unknown dangers. But God was with him. Years passed. No child. No heir. Doubt crept in. One night, God led Abram outside beneath a sky bursting with stars. Look up, he said. Count the stars, if you can. So shall your descendants be. And Abram believed. But faith is tested, and when the years stretched on, his wife, Sarai, desperate for a child, took matters into her own hands. She gave her servant, Hagar, to Abram, and a son was born, Ishmael. But he was not the child of the promise. Then, when Abram was 99 years old, God spoke again. You will no longer be Abram, but Abraham, the father of many nations. And your wife, Sarah, will bear you a son. Sarah laughed. A barren woman, nearly a century old, giving birth. Impossible. But 1 year later, the impossible happened. A child was born, Isaac, the son of promise. Joy filled their hearts. The promise had begun. But then, God tested Abraham. Take your son, your only son, whom you love, and sacrifice him to me. The words were like a knife to his soul. This was the child God had promised. And now, he was to lay him on an altar. But Abraham obeyed. He took his son to Mount Moriah. He built the altar. He bound Isaac. He raised the knife. Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy. A voice from heaven. A ram caught in the thicket. God had provided the sacrifice. And in that moment, Abraham saw, God would always provide. Isaac grew, married Rebekah, and had 2 sons, Esau, the strong and wild hunter, and Jacob, the quiet and cunning one. From the moment of birth, they wrestled. Even in the womb, they fought for dominance. Esau, the firstborn, was entitled to the birthright, the inheritance of the promise. But Jacob wanted it, and one day, he saw his chance. Esau came in from the fields, starving. Jacob stood by the fire, stirring a pot of rich, red stew. Give me some of that, Esau demanded. Jacob's eyes gleamed. First, sell me your birthright. And with a careless oath, Esau gave away what was sacred for a bowl of soup. But Jacob wanted more. With his mother's help, he tricked their father, Isaac, into blessing him instead of Esau. When Esau discovered the deception, his rage burned. Jacob fled for his life. Years passed. Jacob worked for his uncle, Laban, fell in love, was tricked, struggled, and prospered. But one night, everything changed. Alone by the river, preparing to face Esau once again, Jacob was attacked. A stranger wrestled him through the night. Blow for blow, neither gave in. But as dawn broke, the stranger touched Jacob's hip, and pain shot through his body. Jacob gasped, realizing, this was no ordinary man. This was God himself. Bless me. Jacob cried, clinging to him. And God did. No longer will you be called Jacob, he said. From now on, you will be Israel. The deceiver had become the father of a nation. The promise lived on. Jacob had 12 sons, but one was his favorite, Joseph. And that love bred jealousy. His brothers despised him, sold him into slavery, and told their father he was dead. But God was not finished. From slave to prisoner to ruler, Joseph rose to power in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. And when famine struck, it was Joseph who saved the very brothers who betrayed him. The family was restored. The promise endured. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was still at work. And through their descendants, the world would one day see the fulfillment of the greatest promise of all. Before time began, before the first star flickered in the vast expanse of nothingness, there was only God. Eternal, all-powerful. And then, he spoke. Let there be light. First star flickered in the vast expanse of nothingness, there was only God.